What if one decision, just one exhibition match, ends up defining Carlos Alcaraz's entire start to next season? That's the question shaking the tennis world right now. And it's exactly what Jimmy Connors and his son Brett are suddenly warning everyone about. Because the moment Alcaraz pulled out of the Davis Cup finals with an injury, everything changed. Now, instead of a clear path to the Australian Open, we're looking at uncertainty, speculation, and a growing debate over how many exhibitions he'll play, how much rest he'll actually take, and whether he's walking into 2025 already at a disadvantage. Welcome back to the Net Rush Report. Let's get straight to it. The Carlos Alcaraz conversation was already heating up after a packed, bruising season, but Jimmy Connors just poured gasoline all over it. The 8-time Grand Slam champion, a man who built an entire legacy on durability and longevity, looked directly at the modern schedule and asked the question nobody inside Alcaraz's team seems willing to address publicly. What's he going to do next? Let's see how many exhibitions he plays. That wasn't sarcasm. It was a warning. Connors has lived through the grind. He dominated the US Open throughout the 70s and 80s, won titles at Flushing Meadows in 74, 76, 78, 82, and 83. He wasn't just great, he was relentless. And that's why he's looking at Alcaraz, one of the most explosive talents since the Big Three, and wondering whether the modern game is pulling him in two directions at once. Enormous competitive demands on one side, and enormous commercial opportunities on the other. Brett Connors immediately jumped into the conversation to soften the blow, but even his defense said a lot. Because while Jimmy questioned whether Alcaraz's body can handle a loaded schedule heading into Melbourne, Brett argued that the 22-year-old is smart enough, experienced enough, to make the right decisions this time around. He knows what he's doing, Brett said. But the tone itself made one thing clear. Even the Connors family sees the danger. The injury Alcaraz picked up before the Davis Cup isn't severe, but it's enough to disrupt momentum. It's enough to force tough choices between match sharpness and recovery. And it's enough to raise the exact point Jimmy Connors is making. Is the young superstar balancing performance with profits, or stretching himself thin at the worst possible time? Because this is not just any offseason. This is the lead up to the Australian Open, the only slam Alcaraz still doesn't have. Wimbledon? He's conquered. Roland Garros. He owns it now. The US Open? He's already been crowned there. 6 Grand Slam titles and counting. But Melbourne remains a blank space on his resume. And that blank space comes with pressure. Last year, he reached the quarterfinals only to run straight into Novak Djokovic, who shut the door in 4 sets. This time, with Djokovic preparing as relentlessly as ever and Jannik Sinner rising like a tsunami, Alcaraz cannot afford even a fraction of unpreparedness. Every decision, rest, travel, exhibitions, recovery work, training intensity, matters. And that's exactly where the ATP itself stepped into the conversation. That ATP chairman Andrea Gaudenzi has been trying to walk the tightrope between athlete protection and the business of global tennis. But when asked about scheduling concerns from top players, he couldn't resist putting a spotlight on something deeper. If a player is attracted by money, they often play exhibitions outside of our system. A subtle jab? Maybe. But the message was clear. The ATP believes some of these choices are self-inflicted. Carlos Alcaraz played 80 matches this season. That's a brutal workload for any player, especially one whose physical style relies on explosiveness, sliding, lunging, and full-body torque on every point. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner played 67 matches, but with an 85% win rate and rare losses, he managed to spread his season with a little more strategic restraint. Both men are carrying elite success rates. Both finished with fewer than 10 losses. But Alcaraz's path had more grind, more repetitions, more miles on the body. And that's why this Davis Cup injury alarmed people who know what the early season demands. Gaudenzi's comment wasn't directed only at Alcaraz, but it might as well have been. Because the underlying issue is simple. As tennis grows in global markets, as appearance fees rise, and as top players become icons with massive earning power, the temptation to enter exhibition events increases. It's easy money. It's low stress. It's great for branding and fan engagement. But it also means extra travel, less downtime, and less pure recovery. And now, as Connors hinted, fans want to know, how many exhibitions will he actually take on before January? Because the tennis world is entering a new era where the big three aren't dictating the rhythm anymore. Schedules are open. Masters titles are up for grabs. Rivalries are forming fast. And Alcaraz, still only 22, is expected to carry men's tennis into the next decade. But to do that, he needs the most important thing of all, a healthy, fully charged start to each season. Does that mean skipping exhibitions entirely? Maybe not. Does that mean choosing fewer and using the time to rest his legs, shoulder, and abdominal core? Possibly. Does it mean preparing quietly while Sinner, Djokovic, Medvedev, Rune, Zverev, Rublev, and the rest surge into 2025 with their own momentum? That's the question the Connors family is staring at. Jimmy Connors made a career out of playing with pure energy and refusing to take shortcuts. When he sees Alcaraz, he sees a generational talent, but also a player who can't afford to lose focus when the eyes of the sport are on him as the future. His warning wasn't about scheduling alone. It was about discipline, about longevity, about the difference between hype and history. Brett, on the other hand, echoed the optimism many fans feel, that Alcaraz is not just talented but smart, strategic, aware of the pitfalls that come with early success, fame, and money. Point two perspectives. One hard truth in the middle. Carlos Alcaraz is entering a crossroads moment. He can chase exhibitions, or he can chase Melbourne. He can gamble on match rhythm, or he can protect his body. He can spread himself wide or sharpen himself narrow. Whatever he chooses, we'll soon find out whether Connors was right, or whether Alcaraz is crafting his own blueprint for greatness. Thanks for watching the Net Rush Report. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more fast, sharp tennis coverage. Until next time, we'll see you on the next serve.